Hey, welcome back to Headlines, everybody. I'm Wes Austin, and these are today's top stories. First, Democratic Representative Jasmine Crockett warns that President Trump's peace negotiations between Russia and Ukraine might start World War III. We've got the clip. Next, the Supreme Court has temporarily halted an order that required President Trump to pay $2 billion in foreign aid. It looks like one of these dozens of activist district judges finally was put on a timeout. It's about time. Then, California Governor Gavin Newsom announced a new podcast. I guess everything in California is going so well that he's got a lot of extra time on his hands. And finally, could praying at home be a crime in Scotland? Well, it depends on whether you do it in front of a window. If no one sees you praying, you're fine. If they do, congratulations, you have the right to remain silent. Okay, let's dive in. Move over, Nostradamus. Jasmine Crockett has a new doomsday prediction. President Trump's peace efforts could start World War III.
It is time for us to say, Mr. President, guess what? Russia invaded Ukraine. Can we at least agree on that one? Facts matter. Y'all, this is literally potentially putting us into an international crisis. We may be heading towards the next world war because we have a president that wants to pal around with Putin and wants to do everything to make him feel good, including lying about who invaded who.
Did she say that facts matter right before arguing that diplomacy is an act of war? Crockett probably also thinks that fire extinguishers are the leading cause of house fires. Apparently, in Crockett's mind, World War III starts when two nuclear powers stop fighting, which is why she's recommending that we nuke Moscow. The United States Supreme Court stepped in to stop a leftist progressive judge from trying to stop President Trump from doing his job. If you listen closely, you can hear Nancy Pelosi cracking open a bottle of peach schnapps. Chief Justice John Roberts temporarily halted a lower court order that required the Trump administration to unfreeze $2 billion in foreign aid by midnight Wednesday. What a shame. That's $2 billion that could have gone to gender studies programs in Pakistan. This marks the Supreme Court's first involvement in a case related to Trump's efforts to clean up government spending. The dispute began when District Judge Amir Ali, a Biden appointee, ruled that funds must keep flowing to U.S. aid while the case was under review. Yes, we want to make sure that we flush as much taxpayer money down the toilet as we can. Before reaching the Supreme Court, a 3-judge panel from the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals, composed of Democratic appointees, denied the administration's request to delay the ruling. Democratic appointees in the D.C. Court of Appeals ruled against Trump? That's a shocker. The Supreme Court's intervention is temporary, likely allowing the justices more time to determine the next steps. The justices are carefully considering their options, which means they're deciding whether to reverse this judge or demote him to being the test subject for TSA body cavity searches. California has been plagued by wildfires, is overcrowded with homeless, and sits on the verge of financial ruin. Luckily, Governor Gavin Newsom is going to do something about it.
We need to change the conversation, and that's why I'm launching a new podcast. And this is going to be anything but the Ordinary Politician podcast.
This is like the captain of the Titanic announcing a new cooking show while the ship is sinking. But this isn't just another politician's echo chamber. No, Gavin's taking a bold approach. He's going to pretend to have a conversation with the peasants.
I'm going to be talking to people directly that I disagree with, as well as people I look up to. But more important than anything else, I'll be talking directly with you, the listener.
Yes, he'll talk to people he disagrees with, like on disagreements about whether Paul Mitchell has the best hair gel or on veneers versus whitening. Gavin knows that the real problem isn't wildfires, crime, or homelessness. It's that you just don't have the right information. Luckily for you, he's here to fix that.
Look, there's an onslaught of information that we take in. So let's take it to the sources without the typical political mumbo jumbo.
Ah, yes. Gavin Newsom. the man who's going to cut through all the political nonsense by starting a politician's podcast.
This is Gavin Newsom,
reminding you that the best qualification for higher office is failing at your current one. You can still pray in Scotland, but if someone sees you, you might be committing a crime. At the Munich Security Conference earlier this month, Vice President J.D. Vance claimed that people could be arrested for praying inside their houses if they live within the 200-meter protest prohibition zone around abortion clinics in Scotland. The author of this legislation was asked about this on a podcast.
I should be really clear. Praying in of itself is not an offence under this bill. We are not banning prayer under the Act.
Oh, good. They're not banning prayer because Scotland isn't like Afghanistan.
You know, that classic image of prayer. If you're standing at a window so people can see you, then could it be interpreted as an offence?
That then depends on who's passing the window and whether anybody
so he's not
can
wrong, is he?
So if you're in Scotland near a clinic, be careful about asking God to bless your breakfast burrito, or you might have to experience that diarrhea in prison, which is the worst place to have diarrhea. Scotland says, sure, go ahead and pray. Just make sure the blinds are drawn, the lights are off, and no one's walking by. Basically, you can pray, but only if your home doubles as a panic room. Thanks for watching Headlines. I'm Wes Austin. Good night.